finally made it here. There's Bradley in Hartford, Connecticut. Waiting for paperwork to finish. Get my appraisals. So you guys get a good view of the cockpit here. We're down here. Almost time to go. I'll show you. How big it is. Come back here. This little galley area. Got coffee machine. Little oven. Just waiting for these guys to bring paperwork and we're on out of here. Bradley, Connecticut. Hey guys, it's your boy Phil. I haven't done an update video in a bit. Like many pilots, I'm here in a hotel room in another city, waiting for my next flight. I fly out tomorrow morning at like 5 a.m. in the morning, heading back. I'm in Sacramento. I'll be heading back to Cincinnati, doing Cincinnati to Atlanta, Atlanta back to Cincinnati, and then I'll be done for the week, which is pretty cool. So I was working, the last time I really posted any videos, was working for a 135 flying the Saab, and then I was supposed to be going to a regional to fly the E-170, and then I had the opportunity to fly for another 121 here at ATI, which is Air Transport International, flying the Boeing 767-757. So I finished my type rating. I finished IOE. I've been on the line now for the past month. So I'm now at the end of my first month, about to go in my second month of actually flying on the line. And it's been a blast, One of the great things that I love about it is going from 135 or even going from a regional to a company like this, is these companies are pretty much main lines, right? So this company flies Amazon cargo, they have DHL contract, and they also fly military transport. So they've got those contracts, and this company, it's a main line. You can make a good amount of money once you get up to those top pays, which make captain, all that stuff. You can make some pretty good money. Not as much as working for a major legacy, but enough to where you can be very comfortable. And what I mean by very comfortable, I'm talking like the $200,000 to $300,000 range. Could be like your average captain is making. Your average FO, is making close to 200 grand, give it after a couple of years, or making over 200 grand after a couple of years, really. So it's pretty nice. You can definitely be comfortable, especially depending on where you live. If you live in a major city, it's kind of hard, or you live in a major city, honestly, you should still be able to afford, to buy a home and raise a family and all that stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I've been enjoying that. My schedule's pretty chill. I've definitely had where it was like, my first month was pretty much after IOE. I spent like a week on reserve, open reserve. I spent a couple of days on hot reserve. And so open reserve, basically, they can call you. And so I just sat at home. Hot reserve, we actually go to the airport, pre-trip the plane and be ready in case of a last minute call. And so they sent me up to do hot reserve in Seattle for a few days, which was pretty cool. We just basically pre-tripped the plane and then just went back to the hotel and just stood by. Then I did a couple trips over to the East Coast, like Ontario to Cincinnati to Hartford, Connecticut, then back to Cincinnati, JFK to Santa Barbara, then Santa Barbara back to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's our big hub. then Cincinnati to Sacramento. So I've been in Sacramento now for the past 2 days. So with this line, because I'm on open reserve, they're basically cutting me into lines. So I guess the first officer had dropped some of his line for days off or whatever, and so I'm just picking up some of his line. So I had different captains I had like 3 different captains this past month. So, or actually 4. I'm on captain number 4 this month. So I flew to Sacramento because I was spliced into the line. The captain actually flew to go do another line with a different FO. So I had 1 day off in Sacramento, and then I had a day of reserve. So this is my reserve day in Sacramento. And then tomorrow, that same captain's coming back, and I'm picking up the rest of his line, flying back to Cincinnati, Cincinnati to Atlanta, Atlanta to Cincinnati, and then I'm off for another week. So that's kind of schedule it works. You've got some nice days where you'll have like a 1-leg day. Like I've had a couple of I had 1 day where we went from like JFK to Rockford, which is like right outside of Chicago. And so that was just like a 2-hour flight, and then I was done for the day. It was real nice. And we were off for like 24 hours. Like tomorrow's going to be a rough day. Tomorrow I have a 3-leg day. So I'm going from Sacramento to Cincinnati, sitting for about 2 hours, Cincinnati to Atlanta, which is a short flight, like hour and a half. Sitting for 2 hours while they unload and load the plane, and then back to Cincinnati. So that's going to be a long day. That's going to be like, we leave at like 5 a.m. and then we'll be done by probably like 6 p.m. local time. So it's a little bit of a long day. That kind of sucks. But a lot of my days are 1-leg days where I'll fly from anywhere from 3 hours or as short as 2 hours to as long as like 4, almost 5 hours. We do a lot of transcons. So we'll do a lot of, Ontario, San Bernardino, or LAX to like JFK, Cincinnati, Lakeland, Florida. We'll do a lot of those. And then you'll have like 1 or 2 short trips spliced in there. So that's pretty cool. You can make a good amount of money. It's definitely a main line. So if you decided to stay, you can easily retire and make some good money. They've got pretty good health benefits as well. But because it's such a hot market for pilots right now, we did have a good number of pilots who left to go to Delta, who went to, as well as American. We had a couple guys who went to Southwest. And so it's a hot market. I know a good amount of guys who are like myself, who pretty much are using this as an opportunity to skip the regionals and get that heavy time. I have a good amount of friends who skipped the regionals and went to Spirit, JetBlue. I know 1 or 2 guys who went to Breeze. I actually know fewer and fewer people who went to regionals. I know one guy, he went to Mesa, and he was there for all of about, 6 months, if maybe even less. Like he just finished IOE and then went to Southwest. So the iron is hot, and so it's good to strike when the iron is hot. Myself, I want to at least get a little bit of time as a captain on the 7.6. And then maybe I'll consider throwing out applications to a legacy. Because even though you can make some pretty good money here, the legacies are still paying way more than most regionals. So, and by legacies, I'm talking United, American, Delta, FedEx. There's a couple guys who are trying to go FedEx or UPS from here, and they've been here for a little bit. So it's a big thing. It really just comes down to, earning potential, contracts, and stuff like that. So that's what's been going on with me. I want to thank you guys for watching my video. I'll try to splice in a few videos from, if not here, I'll try to splice in a few videos, show you what I've been doing so you guys can check that out. I'm going to do another video about 135s. So keep an eye out for that one. I'll probably post it like right after this, talking about some of the issues and some of the things you're going to come across and what to look out for. I want to thank you guys for supporting me and watching my videos. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them. If you are at 1,500 hours and you've been working at a 135, you've got, a little bit of turbine time, definitely need your minimum multi-hours. Feel free to, shoot me a line and, You can check out the Air Transport International and apply. They're really taking people in. The only thing I can warn you about is, even though a lot of these cargo companies, you got like Air Transport International, you've got Kalitta, or Kalitta, however you want to pronounce it, you've got Atlas, you've got Sun Country, you've got a lot of these companies, these cargo companies that are putting young people in these big jets. A lot of them are really started cracking down on their training standards. So in my class, we had like 27 individuals, and the class before us, there was even more. And so we've been hearing where we're talking like a 30 to 40% failure rate, and a lot of them, they've been lucky to where they haven't failed their check rides. It's a lot of them, they're getting to, their sits, or they're getting to being signed off for their check ride, and they're falling behind, right? And basically, it's just like any plane. When you first start flying it, it seems like a lot of stuff comes at you fast. And so if you're not studying, you're not drilling those flows, you're not keeping on your book work as well as your flows, it can be overwhelming. It can be very easy when you're doing 200 miles an hour and you're trying to set up for a visual to fall behind, not getting the flaps in on time, not getting the call outs right. So if you are going to do that stuff, talk to people, get those resources, start studying ahead of time, start working on those flows. I tell people, I said, they'll work with you on, the technical side when you start working on systems. You're going to have that oral, but where they're really going to drill into you is you got to get those flows, and you got to get those profiles and flows down, like the back of your hand. So if you're not drilling that with your sim partner, you're not going over it on a regular, it's easy to fall behind. It's easy to get in there, be good on the systems side and completely neglect going through the checklist, going through the flows, because it's not just a simple one button and you're done. You're talking like our before, our after start is like 10 items of a part of a flow that you have to go through. So if you're missing items over and over again, they're not going to recommend you for the check ride. So if you haven't been in a complex airplane before, if you haven't done a lot of crew stuff before, this is the time to start working on practicing. This is the time to start, feel free to, as soon as you get through in-dock, start hitting people up. I guarantee someone's going to be like, hey, there's a Google Drive, there's videos, there's this, and you just got to make it your everyday. You really got to just every day just start going through those flows, going through those call outs, because that's going to be the key to passing. So even though they are taking in younger people, are taking in lower and lower times, they're still trying to keep those expectations, and they still want to be a safe operation. They're not just going to push you through training and be like, oh, you'll get it on the line. No, they're becoming more and more unforgiving because they're taking in younger and younger people. They're taking in less and less time. They're taking in tons of guys without jet time. And so be aware of that. But don't be afraid to apply. Don't be afraid to try it. Even if you don't have jet time, like I said, I was flying a large multi-engine turboprop versus we had some guys who were coming from Caravans, guys coming from PC-12s, single engine turboprops. We even had a guy, I was flying with a captain who had a bunch of time in a 414, it's like a multi-engine piston aircraft. And he's been with the company for years. So, there's definitely, they'll keep you, they'll consider you, be ready for your ATP. If you don't have it, a lot of these companies are paying for ATPs now, but it's still on to you to pass that written. It's still on to you to pass that ATP check ride. And the few people that I've worked with who had to have their ATP, because I came in with my ATP, they're not going to train you. They'll give you, some King schools or they'll give you some program that you have to take on your own to watch and be ready for. Otherwise, you do that check ride, you're going to be with your sim partner. But when you do that check ride, you do those check rides individual. You'll have a seat support, but it's all on you. You're going to be doing the process. You're going to be, they're going to expect you to study, and they're not going to hold your hand. So just be aware of that. You know, if you're there at 1500, you want to skip those regionals, you want to try your hand at a big jet, it's not just going to be a simple, I got it and I'm done. So I encourage you to try. I encourage you to push yourself. Just be aware. You're gonna have to study. You're gonna have to study. You're gonna have to work your butt off, and you know you're stepping up to the big boys. You know, there's a lot of theory that that doesn't flow from just flying a turboprop or a piston or from so you got to be aware of that. So again, feel free to leave those comments, ask me any questions, you want a link or whatever, just feel free to hit me up. I appreciate all you guys for watching my videos, and keep an eye out for the next one.